Hi, in this video I'll show you how to use the ink and watercolor Photoshop action. With this action we'll be applying cool ink and watercolor effects like this onto images, and before we jump onto the action, let's view a few examples. So the final composition offers loads of customization option. We can change the layer styles. We can also add stroke colors. We can change the hatching colors. I'll show them afterwards. Okay, let's now load up the action. To load the action, go to Window and Actions. This action panel will load up. Click this flyout list and select Load Actions. Click the action, select Load. You can see that the ink and watercolor action has been loaded up, and it contains two sub-actions, the ink and watercolor medium and the ink and watercolor large. So it's like I recommend using the medium effect with images having width around 1000 to 2500 pixels, and use the large effect for images having width around 2500 to 4000 pixels. So let's now load up the brush. Click this gear icon and select Load Brushes. Select ink and watercolor brush and select Load. So here you can see that the ink and watercolor brushes had been loaded up. Okay, let's now load up our image. I'll be using this image. Okay, few things to note over here is that the image mode should be RGB. This image should be a background locked layer. If you see something like this, which is not a background locked layer, go to Layer, New, and Background From Layer. Next, check this flyout list, click Panel Options, and be sure that Add Copy to Copied Layers and Groups is checked. And also select your brush tool and see that the opacity and the flow, both of them are at 100%. Okay, now we'll brush over the area where we want this effect to apply. So for that, create a new layer, rename it as brush. Be sure to type all letters in lowercase. Now take any color and select the soft round brush and just brush over the area. Okay, let's now check the image size. Just 1000 pixels wide, so I'll use this medium effect. Click this play button. It'll take some time for the action to finish. Okay, the action has finished rendering, so it took about 1.5 minutes for my PC to finish rendering. It can be a little bit more time or less depending on the configuration of your PC. So let's now go into the details of this layers that's been created. This is the canvas underlay, this is the watercolor main group, this is the canvas texture, this is the hatching line elements, this is the pen line stroke line elements, this is the 10 color effects, this is the overall adjustment, and this is the default adjustment. Let's now go into detail one by one. The canvas underlay. Okay, one more thing to note that I have just for quick references added like this. If you see COL beside any layer, that means it's a color adjustment layer. If you see MSK, that means you can paint on the mask with a white or black color to reveal or hide the effect. If you see OPA, that means it's an opacity adjustment layer. You can change the opacity. If you see ADJ, that means it's an adjustment layer by the layer property. Like if it's a color adjustment, you'll just adjust the colors. It's a hue adjustment, so on. And also, let me show you. If you see DUP, that means it's this layer can be duplicated and the effect can be increased. So let's go one by one. The canvas underlay, you can change the color. To change color, it's a smart object, so double click on it. It'll open in a new smart object editable window. Double click on the color adjustment and select a color. I'll select a yellowish color, save it and close it. You see that the color has been applied onto the canvas. Let's revert it. Now the watercolor elements group, let's expand it. These are the adjustment layers over here. This is the spatter mask, and you get the watercolor main elements over here. There's nothing to change much over here, but you can take this large soaked layer. You can change the opacity just to increase the highlights, accentuate a bit. But it's better to leave it just as it is. Now the gradient map, you can make it visible by toggling this eyeball icon. Double click on the gradient icon and the gradient adjustment layer will open up. You can take any gradient, or you can change the colors by clicking on these color stops. I'll change it to a black and white. This is the hue saturation adjustment layer. Show it first, then change the hue saturation. Okay. And this is the spatter mask, the watercolor splatter that you see over here. You can like show more of the watercolor elements by painting on this mask. You can take a soft round brush, and it's an inverted, it acts like an inverted mask. So if you want to show any of the watercolor below watercolor elements, you need to paint with color black. See, and let me revert it. And if you want to hide something, you have to paint with white. Okay, and so this is the overall group for the watercolor elements. You can again paint on this mask with color black to hide the watercolor elements. Okay, and also you can change the opacity just if you want a more washed watercolor effect. Now the canvas texture, it's a smart object applied with smart filters. You can change the texture by double clicking on the filter gallery. The filter edit window will open up. Over here you can change the relief, the scaling and the texture. So you can see, let me revert it. Now the hatching line elements, this is the overall color adjustment layer, and this is the main hatching elements. You got 5 hatching layers. You can also increase the hatching by duplicating these layers. Take move tool and you can move these hatching lines around. Let me duplicate this layer also, or you can transform them, press Ctrl T, rotate them around or resize them. Okay, I'll just delete these duplicate layers. Now you can change the color of this individual hatching layers or change them together with this overall color adjustment layer. I'll show you this one first. You can see the hatching lines have changed color. Just to make you understand a bit more clearly, I'll turn on this gradient map. You can see. Now let's change hatching colors for individual layers. I'll simply turn this off, hide this, and then we'll change. You can also change the opacity of the individual layers, and I'll just turn the opacity of the overall group a bit more. Okay, let me revert them to color black quickly. This is the line elements, the pen lines. It has got one overall color adjustment layer and 3 individual pen line layers. You can change the overall line's color, or you can hide it and change the color for the individual lines. Let me just increase the opacity of this. Okay, let me quickly turn them black. This is the 10 color effects. You got 10 quick color change styles contained into this group. Just let me change this gradient map so that these effects will be we can understand the effects properly. The color effect 1, 2, and this is the overall adjustment layer. It got 4 adjustment layers: levels, photo filter, hue saturation, and gradient map. You can show them and change the hue saturation. Or change the blending mode. This is the default adjustment layer. You can just let it be, or you can change it. And overall, all the layers are and the groups are contained into this ink and watercolor group. You can simply hide it, or you can delete it to just show your original background image. And you can again apply the effect. You can get different results every time you run it. You get different orientation of the hatching lines and the splatters. So experiment on your own. Also try different size effects with different images. That's it pretty much. Thank you. Happy painting.